Just 2 days before Thanksgiving now. So short week should bring you some, I don't know, excitement, happiness, joy into your life.
Unless you're, going to meet with relatives that you can't stand.
Well, yes. We had a story that I shared on Pat Gray Unleashed earlier today. A poll that said only 3% of families actually get into arguments at Thanksgiving at the table.
Really?
They're likely to get into an argument. About 8% are somewhat likely. So it's up to 11% of families that might have a big knockdown, drag out over politics.
Oh, over politics.
Over politics. Okay. Yeah.
Because I don't think it's always about politics.
No, that's probably true.
I don't remember many arguments going back to when I was a kid with parents going at each other by any means.
No, we never had that.
No, I mean, it was always a great time.
Mm-hmm.
I loved our holidays. Mm-hmm. But you can see if you have one of those fights, it's really memorable, right? Like you're blowing up your family for a period of time.
Yes.
So it kind of does maybe have an outsized place in your memory. Mm-hmm. But I don't think is it real that people are fighting all the time?
I don't know. It might be more real right now because tensions are so high and because we are at each other's throats all the time. I don't know. It feels like, tension and bloodshed could break out at any moment. But maybe that's just perception because we see this stuff every single day. And, we get to see all the buffoons in the news who are interrupting events, not letting events occur, yelling and screaming their hatred for Trump. Maybe it's overblown because we just see it every day.
That is part of it, clearly, right?
Yeah.
People who complain about how awful Twitter is, and how, just terrible it is for everybody who's on it. And then they're on it complaining about those things. They're actually on Twitter doing it. And it's you get yourself into that mode. Mm-hmm. It can get really ugly. But when you look at even the stats show, what is it, like 8% of people are responsible for like 75% of the tweets, right? It's something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Because most people in America are not on Twitter. They're certainly not on Twitter in the way that reporters are on Twitter. And that's a big part of this. I think, you see maybe the mainstream media, if you're the average person, and you see a bunch of people telling you what's going on in the news who are sitting on Twitter all day reading tweets from other liberal journalists telling them how terrible Donald Trump is every day. Mm-hmm. So, of course, it flavors their reporting. I think it's different than the old days where you had people who were generally liberal, however, would convince themselves they were trying to be fair. They were trying to tell the truth. And their truth, of course, always wound up being liberal, but there was at least a tip of the hat to the conservative argument somewhere in the story a lot of times. They've abandoned all of that as circa 2016.
Yep.
Right? Like they've just been like, okay, that happened. Now we can no longer hide it. We can no longer take the risk. This is too important. We have to come out and just scream at everybody every day. And it's a terrible approach. It never works, right? Mm-hmm. If you have, if you're watching a horror movie and you have that big jump scare where something jumps out in front of you, and you're like legitimately jump in the theater because it's that big moment. And it happens once or twice in a great horror movie. The bad horror movies, they do it like 25 times. Like every single time, like the person turns around, there's a person standing there and a big loud noise. And you're like, all right, you just did that. Why is this person so scared? They're walking around their kitchen and nothing is happening. Like, this is not a scary moment. And I think that's where the American people are now on this with Trump. It's like if the media had come out and said, look, he's the president. We're going to judge what he does. We're going to watch every day. And then, when he passes tax cuts, we're going to say, you know what, it's going to help a lot of people. We're not going to lie about it and say it's all rich people getting tax cuts. And when he has a judge that comes in, we're not going to just accuse him of rape. We're not going to just go, hey, some random person walked into our lobby today and said the Supreme Court nominee raped somebody
40 years ago.
Let's just believe them.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do those things because when you have something that you think is legitimate, and I don't think it's Ukraine, but let's just say at some point Trump does something that is impeachable It's possible. It's rare, but it's possible. If he were to do something that was on that level, would anyone be won over by the argument from these people who've been telling us that, every single thing the guy has done since he walked into office was impeachable?
Yeah.
You can't.
It's like Chicken Little.
Yeah.
You're screaming that the sky is falling all the time when it's not falling. That's what the Democrats have done. And hopefully people are seeing that and I think they are. The impeachment polls lately have been going toward Trump now. They're starting to think that this is, the Democrats don't have any evidence, and they don't. And so the polls are really tightening up for the president right now on this impeachment situation anyway. Yeah.
And I think they've kind of shot their best bullets already on this one, right? I mean, they came out with their best witnesses. This was the best version of their case. They didn't have to allow any pushback from Republican witnesses. They just decided to go for it. And, look, they're going to probably impeach him because they have control and they can do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. I'd be very surprised if they went through this whole charade without actually getting an impeachment out of it. Because they can at least tell their AOC fans, look, we did something.
Yeah, we tried.
Outside of that, I don't know. I mean, there's certainly at this point nothing that's going to even come close to removal. So what do they get out of this?
No, I think they're starting to sense it might actually hurt them.
Yeah?
Yeah. And there was a story earlier this week, too, well, like yesterday, that they're getting cold feet. Some of them seem to be getting cold feet on the whole impeachment process.